So today we're going to be reacting to a video from an African YouTuber. I'm not going to try to pronounce her name. I'm not going to do it. Shouts out to her though. And it's about reparations. I don't know if you guys been seeing what's going on. They had the vote, was slavery the worst crime? You know, them man there voted that it wasn't. All the European countries chose not to vote, of course, and everybody else voted that it was. The discussion of reparations has come out, and a lot of Black Americans are looking at it and they're going, what does Ghana have to do with reparations? What do these African countries really have to do with reparations? They sold our ancestors into slavery. We're going to get into it. We're going to look at some of the arguments. We're going to see if I disagree or not.
If we're talking about reparations from the United States, then that's strictly exclusively to Black Americans, Adolphs and freemen, the descendants of Black enslaved Americans and the descendants of freemen in this country. Now, Africa was a co-conspirator, especially Ghana. Ghana turned slavery into tourism. They making money off all those slave castles, millions of dollars, right? Let's not talk about that, how they're co-conspirators too.
So they said, oh, years after, all the dungeons, all the castles, people are still coming to pay to see it. So that means you're still making money. So those who were sold out, they did not gain anything other than years and years of trauma. And now, years after, you still want to come and take from the ones that they should gain from. This is really a heated conversation for a lot of them, and they are pressing Ghana government's neck like, how dare you? This is not your business. All right, guys. I know that a lot of you must have been following this reparation conversation that seemed to be having a lot of talk.
Before she starts, I've never thought about the argument that way. It's a more cynical way of looking at it, but it is kind of true. They're still making money off slavery, and those slaves are not Ghanaian today. Those would be my ancestors, and if you're Black American, your ancestors, and if you're Black in Brazil, your ancestors. They're still making money off that shit. But I'm not mad at it because I feel like this history is one that we need to know this history because it's really dark. And the documentaries that I've seen on it, it gives you a level of empathy for what our ancestors went through. And I think it's important that we know that.
Ability lately, especially Ghana. I mean, Ghana's Minister of Foreign Affairs seem to be talking about it and how they want to spearhead the conversation about reparation. And for those who don't know what reparation is, it means some sort of either money, development, or whatever that should be paid to Africans because of the injustice done to us during the era of slave trade. So Ghana seemed to be talking about it lately. And you see, that conversation seemed not to be going well with African Americans. I mean, the ones that some of us will call Black Americans. And that is what we're here to talk about, okay? Anyway, if you're new here, my name is Ogechukwu Oyeludi. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. So,
this is not funny, yeah? Again, shout out to this lady. I always have this discussion when it comes to slavery. And these white people, they are demons, okay? But they were really smart as well. Because you hear a name like this, and you're like, yeah, that's straight from Wakanda, man. That's straight from the continent. Could you imagine if we had our African names? You think these Black people would be claiming to be like Indian? Like, how crazy would you look if you had a name like this, but you claim not to be African? They had to take that shit away, man. Now your name is like, your surname's like Edwards and then things there, and Michael Davis. Yeah, you don't look crazy saying that you're not African with a name like Davis. You know what I'm saying? But if this was your name, there's no way you could claim not to be straight from the continent.
a lot of them are coming for Ghana's government because of these. Like, how dare you champion this? I mean, to them, they are the ones that suffered the harsh treatment of slave trade. So why are you coming into the conversation? How is it, your business? That is what they are saying. So it all started when Ghana's Minister of Foreign Affairs did this video. I think somewhere in Colombia or so, he made this call or charge that they're about to make. So let's listen to it. When we come back, we'll talk.
Ghana wishes to draw attention to the very consequential resolution which President John Dramani Mahama of Ghana will be tabling on the 25th of March, which is just next week, Wednesday, a few days from now. This is a resolution seeking to declare the transatlantic slave trade as the gravest crime against humanity. For more than 300 years, Africans were treated as property, were tortured, humiliated, raped, and forced out of the continent, over 12.5 million of them, in the most dehumanizing and despicable circumstances.
This is interesting now, because I've never seen this clip before. He said Africans were mistreated, and then he said they were forced out of the continent. He's talking about us type of Africans, right? The ones who aren't living in Africa, or the ones who don't have direct African lineage, for whatever the case is. Caribbeans, Black Americans, the Black people in Brazil, the Black people in South America. He's talking about those Africans, not the Africans that were in Africa. Okay.
The world is yet to acknowledge this. Perpetrators are yet to apologize and have not compensated the victims. This is a time to demand reparatory justice.
So after he made that statement, I mean, that really riled up a lot of African Americans. Like, how dare you? How are you trying to position yourself as a victim? I saw a lot of videos. Why am I actually doing this video? Because some of them cannot differentiate Ghana, Nigeria. Like, they've just lumped everybody together, and the insult they're just throwing around. So, but I saw like a lot of videos. Because of time, I only picked 3 that I'm going to play here. So let's play them, 3 of them. They are kind of, longer bit, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, different videos, 3 of them. So let's play them. When we come back, we'll talk.
Time to demand restitution.
Look at the hypocrisy. That's the Prime Minister of Ghana at this Latin American and Caribbean forum in Bogota, Colombia, demanding reparations like they have a right to reparations. Did we not forget that Latin America was conquered by Spain, right? Some of the people who run Latin America to this day are descendants of Spaniards, the same people that, enslaved the people in those lands. So you're talking about reparations, then those people that's the descendant of slaves in those countries deserve reparations from their government, not the United States. If we're talking about reparations from the United States.
What are you talking about? What are you saying? I think when we talk about the transatlantic slave trade, people need to educate themselves. America wasn't the only country involved in the transatlantic slave trade. We understand this, right? So yeah, there's going to be a lot of Black people across the world that are going to deserve and need reparations if this is given out. It's not just an American thing.
And that's strictly exclusively to Black Americans, adults and freemen, the descendants of Black enslaved Americans and the descendants of freemen in this country. Now, Africa was a co-conspirator, especially Ghana. Ghana turned slavery into tourism. They making money off all those slave castles, millions of dollars, right? Let's not talk about that, how they're co-conspirators too. So the people that participated in this, the Portuguese, the Spaniards, the Europeans, and the French, right? Those are the people that need to give reparations. Like if it's the Caribbeans, what is that? The UK, those UK Europeans, yeah, get your reparations over there. But over here in the United States, that's not an African thing. That's a Black American thing.
Yeah, but nobody's saying it isn't. They're not saying, hey, America, pay everyone. What is this? What is this video? Where from this did you get that they're saying America pay everyone reparations? Where did you get that? That wouldn't even make sense on any logical level. America would have to pay black Americans. The French would have to pay the black French. And this is common sense.
Yeah, it sounds like another scam to me, if you ask me. But yeah, and did I not mention that Ghana still make money off slavery? They turn slavery into tourism.
Look, this is what I'm going to say. And I've said it before when it comes to the black Americans. Unfortunately, America don't like you. So this Senate or this, whatever the case is kind of irrelevant because Ghana can't force America. Nobody can force America to pay you reparations. America has to want to do it. And they really, really don't want to do it. So it's not going to happen. The other countries, could they get reparations? No, I don't think they could either because all the European countries voted against it. So this whole thing was kind of pointless, if I'm being honest. But it was just interesting to see a lot of the different reactions. But in reality, I'm looking at this and I'm going, there are genuinely Africans saying that they should get reparations. I don't understand that. I don't understand. Someone needs to educate me. And I'm being super genuine here. You guys know I'm pro-diaspora, okay? Everyone. What the hell would Africa get reparations for when speaking about the transatlantic slave trade? If we talk about South Africa, what they went through, they desperately deserve reparations, but that wasn't the transatlantic slave trade. Okay? Maybe Libya, the white people went up there. Was it Gambia or Libya? Or both, maybe. I think it's Gambia. The white people went up there, took that shit. Okay, maybe they, but I'm seeing street interviews, people talking about they should get money in Africa. I'm not doing. I'm saying, you guys were the sellers historically. I don't know what you would get reparations for.
This is an emphatic and overwhelming victory, and it shows that the vast majority of the international community acknowledge that a grave horror occurred, which should never have happened.
But why is it? How could it be a grave victory if everybody else knows this was a terrible thing? Okay, except for the countries that done it. The countries that done it, they said, nah, we ain't voting. And then, them man there voted. It wasn't even the worst thing. So I don't get it. Argentina, them man there, and America. Those are the three countries that voted against it. Argentina did some really bad shit, man. Argentina ain't trying to pay the reparations for nothing. Same goes with America. And then, them man there are just them man there. So I don't get how this was a big victory, personally.
Grave humanitarian crime, that is what the UN now calls it. The transatlantic slave trade ended centuries ago, yet its effects remain visible today. It took a UN resolution to acknowledge that much.
But what exactly does Ghana want? Is this about moral awareness or real compensation for centuries of injustice?
The Ghana-led resolution demands the return of stolen cultural artifacts and financial restitution. It emphasizes tangible reparation, not just symbolic regret.
But the big question is, can financial payment heal the wounds of history?
To me, I think it should be money because apology, you can never know. Someone can just say sorry, but when he doesn't mean it.
I think we need to be given money.
Now, UN resolutions carry no legal weight. So how does Ghana plan to make this vision real?
Especially when some nations involved.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Look, the stolen artifacts, all the Queen's jewels, you know what I'm saying? Take that shit back, okay? That's your reparations. That's it. Money, I'm so confused. Again, someone in the comments needs to let me know, man. Because the last time I checked, I would just speak personally, my ancestors fled the treacherous Ghanaian goons who were trying to enslave them. Okay, they had to flee, go to the Caribbean. Then they went to the Caribbean. More slave owners in the Caribbean. Okay, they had to fight the slave owners in the Caribbean. So I don't know what modern day Ghanaians or modern day Africans in general would get reparations for when it comes to slavery. If we're talking about colonization, the problem is those African leaders They made those deals for whatever reason. Under duress, probably, right? Most likely. Okay, but they signed those deals. So I don't really know where the reparations will come from. Again, specifically for the transatlantic slave trade. But yeah, but you guys let me know in the comments. Am I tripping?
Do you miss me?